in the neon-drenched streets of New Haven, where skyscrapers stabbed the night sky like chrome knives. Jackson Ryder, everyone just called him Jockswas, the guy you called at 2 a.m. when your world went dark. 28 sleeves rolled over tattooed forearms. Dark hair, always a little messy under his backward cap. Jocks had the kind of easy smile that made panicked homeowners calm down. No sweat, he'd say, toolbox clanking. We'll get the lights back on. He drove a matte black van with Ryder Electric. We bring the spot painted in electric blue. Business was steady. Life was simple. Until the night the city almost died. It started with a storm nobody saw coming. Thunder rolled like artillery. Rain hammered the streets into rivers. At 11:47 p.m., the main substation on the edge of downtown, a hulking fortress of transformers and humming lines, took a direct lightning strike. Not just any strike. A freak bolt, thick as a man's arm, punched through the shielding, and chain breakers exploded. Oil-filled transformers ruptured into fireballs. The grid didn't just fail, it hit block by block. New Haven blacked out. Hospitals switched to generators, some held, some flickered. Traffic lights died. Intersections became demolition derbies. Elevators trapped people between floors. And deep in the waterfront high-rises, a brand new luxury tower called Eclipse Towers lost power mid-construction test phase. The emergency systems were offline. The backup generator feeds hadn't been energized yet. 32 families were moving in tomorrow. Tonight, the building was a 60-story tomb. Jocks was finishing a late call in a quiet suburb when his phone lit up with alerts. Power company dispatch. All hands. Catastrophic failure at substation 7. Critical infrastructure collapsing. Then his buddy Marco, a lineman. Jocks, Eclipse is gonna pancake if we don't get juice to the life safety buses. They're begging for anyone who knows the panel schedule. Jocks stared at the rain slashing his windshield. He could have said no. He was off shift. But he thought of the tower those glass walls he'd driven past 100 times, sent something tightened in his chest. He threw the van into gear. By the time he reached the construction gate, the site was chaos. Fire trucks idled uselessly. Cops pushed back gawkers. A project engineer in a soaked hard hat ran up. You're the electrician? Thank God. The main feeders are fried. We need to bypass the damaged switchgear and backfeed from the secondary grid 2 blocks over. But the risers are live in places sites suicide. Jocks looked up. 60 stories of black glass, windows reflecting distant emergency lights like dying stars. Somewhere up there, security guards, night shift cleaners, a few stubborn residents checking their new condos, all trapped if the emergency elevators and fire pumps didn't kick in soon. He grabbed his insulated gloves, arc flash suit, and a coil of heavy-duty cable. Show me the vault. The basement electrical room was a nightmare, smoke curling from scorched bus bars, the smell of burned insulation choking the air. Water dripped from ruptured conduits. Jocks' headlamp cut through the haze. The engineer pointed. Primary's toast. But if you can jumper the secondary feed here, he tapped us and tie it into the life safety panel on floor 1, we get fire pumps. Emergency lighting, elevators, 20 minutes of breathing room till the utility can rebuild. 20 minutes, the building groaned as wind rocked it. Jocks felt the hair on his arms stand up, not fear, but the faint buzz of residual voltage dancing in the air. He worked fast. Stripped cable, crimped lugs, checked torque. Every move precise. Sweat stung his eyes, his multimeter screamed warnings, phantom voltages, induced currents. One wrong touch, and he'd be a flash of light and a closed casket funeral. At the 12-minute mark, he heard it. A low moan from above. The building shifting, faint, muffled. Someone on the upper floors, panicking in the dark. Jocks' jaw tightened. He hot-wired the final connection, double-checked grounds, then slammed the breaker. A hum. A flicker. Emergency lights snapped on in weak red rows. Elevators whirred to life. Fire pumps kicked in with a distant thud-thud. The engineer whooped. You did it! But Jocks was already moving. Not done! The main lobby panel's arcing eyes saw it on the way in. If it goes thermal, we lose everything again. He sprinted up stairwells lit only by his headlamp and the new emergency strips. 30 floors, 40. Lungs burning. By floor 52, he heard Karinja Kid, maybe 6, calling for his mom. Jocks found them on 54. A mother clutching her son outside a half-finished penthouse. The hallway ceiling was smoldering where a live wire had whipped free during the surge, sparking against sprinklers that wouldn't activate without power. The arcing panel was 20 feet of wave of white plasma dancing like a trapped serpent. Jocks yelled over the crackle, "Get back! I'm killing the feed!" He approached low, insulated tools out. The arc was ferocious heat, like an open oven. He could feel his skin tightening. One precise move. He drove a fiberglass rod into the breaker mechanism, forcing it open. The arc died with a final angry snap. Silence. Then the sprinklers hissed on, cool water raining down. The mother sobbed thank yous. The kid stared up at Jocks like he was a comic book character come to life wet, hair arc flash suit scorched. But standing, downstairs, the engineer met him with a handshake that turned into a hug. "You just saved the building, probably saved lives." Jocks shrugged, wiping water from his face. "Just did my job." But when he stepped outside into the flashing red and blue lights, phones were already out. Someone had filmed the last part from across the street, the electrician in the glowing rain, killing the arc like it was nothing. The clip hit social media before the power company even restored full grid. By morning, Jocks Rider wasn't just an electrician anymore. Headlines called him the Spark Hero, the man who lit up the dark. Kids drew pictures of him with lightning bolts for hands. The power company offered him a medal. The mayor wanted a key to the city. Jocks turned most of it down. "Tell them to pay their linemen better," he told the reporter, "and maybe fix the substations so this doesn't happen again." He went back to work the next week, same van, same toolbox, same backward cam. But now, when calls came in, people sometimes asked, "Is this the Jocks Rider?" He chuckled. "Yeah, no sweat, we'll get your lights back on." Because in the end, heroes aren't born in capes. Sometimes they reach us guys who show up in the rain with a multimeter and refuse to let the dark win. And every time Jocks flips a breaker or traces a fault, he feels that tiny spark in his chest. Not power, not glory, just the quiet certainty that when everything goes black, someone has to bring the light. And tonight, that someone is him.